Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Anna Manuel. President Biden in Buffalo today, speaking with first responders and the families of the victims killed in Saturday's mass shooting at a supermarket. The community is in mourning after 10 people were left dead and 3 others injured in a shooting that investigators believe was racially motivated. The massacre is fueling fresh calls in Congress to pass gun control legislation, but will it have momentum? Madeline Rivera reports from Washington.
The family of Celestine Chaney says she was a survivor, never imagining the scenario that would ultimately take her life.
My sister survived breast cancer and 3 aneurysm surgeries to go to the grocery store to get killed.
Chaney was one of 10 people killed on Saturday after investigators say 18-year-old Peyton Gendron targeted Tops supermarket in Buffalo and started shooting, intent on killing as many black people as possible.
My mom was laying on the ground. He went and reloaded. And he shot my mom again.
President Biden and the First Lady traveled to Buffalo Tuesday morning to meet with the victims' families and first responders. The president denouncing the massacre as terrorism motivated by hateful ideology.
We must reject hatred and extremism ideologies that seek to divide Americans whenever we find it in our society.
The violence also triggering yet another debate on gun control. Authorities say Gendron bought his gun in New York legally. The purchase reportedly taking place months after state police say they investigated him in June for making a threat about committing a murder-suicide.
He was never on our radar.
Chaney's family now grieving and trying to figure out how this tragedy happened. Efforts to pass gun control legislation in Congress have failed in the past, another issue on which Democrats could likely face criticism this November. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
A Binghamton man convicted of killing an Elmira man in February has been sentenced to at least 25 years in prison. Khalid Abdul Wahad has been found guilty of second-degree murder for the death of Shamal Gladden. According to the original police report, Abdul Wahad shot and killed Gladden after getting into a fight outside a gas station on Maple Avenue. Police say Gladden was attempting to intervene after he witnessed Abdul Wahad verbally accosting a friend's daughter. Roads and roofs in the southern tier today are littered with debris as people begin to clean up the aftermath of yesterday's storm. While uprooted trees and debris have been cleared away, many residents are now stuck with roof and home repairs due to the extent of the damage done by the storm and its winds. Despite the efforts of the city to clear away fallen trees, considerably sized branches still pose a risk to drivers in the area, as well as electric lines. The emergence of the Omicron BA variants in New York have state health experts urging continued vigilance against COVID-19. The New York State Department of Health says they've been investigating higher than average infection rates in central New York. State health officials have determined that these highly contagious new variants are likely contributing to the rising cases. In a statement, the health department says they encourage New Yorkers to get vaccinated and to consider mask wearing in public spaces, regardless of vaccination status. More protection from COVID could be coming soon to a group that needs it the most. Steve Harrigan has more from Atlanta.
Vaccine access is expanding again to another group of vulnerable Americans, the FDA giving the green light to Pfizer booster shots for kids 5 to 11 years old, making them the youngest age group eligible for a third shot. Pfizer says the extra dose significantly increases protection for children. Welcome news for parents as we enter another surge in COVID cases.
If we have the tools that we have developed over the last few years, I think we can keep infections down. We can certainly make sure that people do not end up getting hospitalized.
Nationwide, daily infections are up more than 60% in the past 2 weeks. On Monday, more than 147,000 new cases were reported. That number was 11,000 just 1 month ago. And with the surge only expected to get worse as the summer heats up, health officials say Americans need to get those booster shots as soon as possible.
That is the way to really start moving forward from COVID, and that's been the president's focus.
Despite the growing risk, there have been few COVID restrictions put back in place, though officials in cities like New York and Los Angeles are urging folks to put their masks back on in public, claiming it's the best way to protect vulnerable family members.
I still am a big masker because I have to. I can't afford to get infected and pass it to my mother.
Dr. Anthony Fauci is back on Capitol Hill today asking lawmakers for more COVID money. In Atlanta, Steve Harrigan, Fox News.
Uber has unveiled a new partnership to allow users to charter a private bus through the app as it expands into different modes of transportation. The feature, which will be rolled out this summer, is aimed at events such as weddings or wine tours. Buses and drivers will be provided by U.S. Coachways. Uber will get an undisclosed service fee from each booking. Another new feature, Uber Travel, is encouraging business travelers to reserve rides days in advance. Hundreds of Ukrainian fighters have been removed from a besieged port city. The evacuations come as the fighting shifts to the Donbas region. Trey Yingst has more.
Buses carrying Ukrainian fighters arrived in Russian-controlled territory yesterday. More than 260 were evacuated from the besieged Azovstal plant in Mariupol. Dozens of them heavily wounded in the fighting. Efforts are now underway to save those left behind.
We hope for extraction. This is what we're fighting for. I don't see another way out for them.
Fighters in that steel mill represented Ukraine's last stronghold in the port city. Ukrainian officials have avoided using the term surrender, instead saying the fighters completed their mission.
Ukraine needs Ukrainian heroes alive. The operation to save the defenders of Mariupol has been started by our military intelligence. The work continues to return guys home.
But Russia continues to face setbacks in this war. In recent days, Ukrainian fighters have advanced around the city of Kharkiv, forcing Russian troops to pull back. Much of the fighting is now taking place in the Donbas region, with several cities coming under heavy shelling. Meanwhile, loud explosions rocked Lviv this morning. The state governor says 3 missiles were shot down. One did strike a military target less than 10 miles from the Polish border.
The Ukrainians, within the next few weeks, will have an opportunity to conduct a counteroffensive, not just a counterattack, but a counteroffensive to drive the Russians out of the territory.
Russia has also suffered diplomatic losses, with Sweden planning to apply for NATO membership. In Kyiv, Trey Yingst, Fox News.
Your complete forecast is next. Plus, a unique way to honor deceased loved ones. A look at the companies turning cremated remains into diamonds. That's ahead.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Well, the rain ended yesterday, and now we're starting to see some clearing conditions. I'm meteorologist Alyssa Triplett, and looking at Binghamton's camera, you can see we still have those mostly cloudy skies around, some of that blue sky trying to break its way through, allowing for temperatures to at least return to those lower 60s in Elmira. But what we will be tracking in is that it's going to be a cool one by tomorrow morning. Under clear and calm skies, we're looking at the potential to fall into those 40s. A few locations could even see the 30s tomorrow morning. Now, as we stay cool, we're leading into a fairly quiet Wednesday, though, so we'll break out more of that cloud cover, allow for more sunshine, and that means more sunshine, especially with the higher sun angle we see this time of the year, means some warmer temperatures. Now, we're not going to be looking at surging temperatures, but at least warmer than what we've seen under that rainy pattern, and then today staying cloudy. There is also going to be a warm front that is going to be pushing its way in as we step through the day on Wednesday, which may return those shower chances as early as Wednesday evening and then push those showers into your Thursday forecast. So ultimately, we are returning back to that rainy weather pattern pattern, but the temperatures don't fall this time. We're actually looking at warming conditions due to that warm front that will be in place on Friday and then as well as Saturday. But this means that we are going to be talking about some instability building with those warmer temperatures, and ultimately means some storm chances are in that weekend forecast. As we though talk about what's going on as we step into your Wednesday forecast, as mentioned, it is going to be a little bit cooler tomorrow morning. You can see some of those 430s popping up from Corning into those Finger Lakes, 40 degrees into Elmira, and even seeing about 41 into Binghamton. Now, when we continue to step through the day on Wednesday, we are under that sunshine for at least the majority of the day. You'll start to see some increase in cloud cover, and then maybe mentioning a few showers after that evening commute, but overall very light manner at all, especially for the Elmira Corning area. Looking at times that may be a brief downpour, but I think when you look at the model outputs, we are keeping that precipitation accumulation less than a 1/4 of an inch for most of the area. So 1/10 of an inch, maybe 2/10 of an inch possible, but other than that, it's not going to be a total soaker. More what we'll see is that with us going to be arriving with these showers earlier, we could see some more sunshine and warming on Thursday. As for Wednesday, as we start under sunshine and then increase that cloud cover, you can see that these areas like Bath and Wayland will have those shower potential there due to being farther off to the west, seeing those showers earlier. Those farther off to the east will keep that sunshine a bit longer, allowing for those upper 60s possible into Elmira as well as Corning. Thursday is going to be a little bit more of a breezier day, but you see that warming is back in place as you climb to about 77 degrees. There is the potential to see wind gusts up to about 25 miles per hour with that warm front that's going to continue to lift north as that low pressure system works its way through the Great Lakes. Overall trend, though, keeps us pretty quiet on Friday as those temperatures continue to warm. We're looking at the 80s, so 60s, 70s, 80s all checked off there. Even almost nearing the 90s there on Saturday, but some stronger storms will be watched as we step through that weekend forecast with some cooler temperatures into early next week.
This week marks 4 years since 10 people were shot and killed at Santa Fe High School in Texas. And now one of those victims, Kimberly Vaughn, will soon have an entire room at a local animal shelter dedicated to her memory. Natalie He spoke exclusively with her mother and has more on the story.
Well, this project has been in the works for 2.5 years, delayed and set back by COVID. But now Kim's room is about to make its grand debut, and her mother tells us she couldn't be happier with the turnout.
I love this. This makes me so happy.
Step inside Bayou Animal Services in Dickinson and feel the magic of its new facility. Sitting front and center is Kim's Cat Haven, named after Kimberly Vaughn, one of the 10 people shot and killed at Santa Fe High School in May 2018. Kimberly, a then freshman, would have turned 19 this year.
She told me when she got older she didn't want to have kids. She wanted to have 17 cats. Harry Potter was also one of her favorite stories, and we were lucky enough in 2018 in April to go to the Wizarding World, and that was like the best family trip ever.
Her mother, Rhonda Hart, has poured her heart and soul into creating this special and detailed dedication for Kim, combining her love for Harry Potter and cats all into one. Not to mention helping vulnerable animals find a safe home.
We've got little Dobby, who has been here the longest. He's one of our longest term residents at the shelter. And then Ronald Weasley is our young, active, cute boy. See, I'm not shy.
Kim's Cat Haven will specifically serve as the room for cats with feline AIDS, also known as FIV.
They also have a little bit shorter lifespan, and so it really matches with Kimberly. It seems like 4 years has just like flown by. But at the same time, it feels like it's gone really slow.
I don't think you move past it, you know? You always remember it, and every time there's another threat or anything like that, it's terrifying.
As the community prepares to enter the 4-year mark this week, the tears and the emotions of the tragic day may get easier to swallow, but never quite disappear.
I think that we're really at the same spot because the shooter still remains in long-term mental health care treatment. I've kind of made my peace with it, that we probably won't ever see the inside of a courtroom. You eventually get used to it, but it never goes away.
In honor of Kimberly, the shelter will be offering a special Pay What You Can for all cat adoption fees. It's happening all throughout the month of May.
If diamonds are a girl's best friend, why can't they also be her family? Well, now they literally can, as companies are turning cremated remains into diamonds. Jackie Ibanez has more on the unique way a growing number of people are choosing to honor and remember their departed loved ones.
You know the saying, diamonds are forever. Well, for a growing number of people desiring a permanent reminder of the loved ones they lost, companies like LifeGem and Eternova are transforming cremated remains into wearable diamonds.
It's a big one.
The trend is gaining traction as more Americans choose to be cremated.
We were starting to see this breaking of tradition and a lot of consumers moving away from having a traditional burial.
Data from the Cremation Association of North America reports cremation became, quote, the preferred end-of-life process in 2016. COVID-19 restrictions also further contributed to the rise, with about 55% of remains in the U.S. being cremated during the pandemic.
In the wake of a funeral, which is just a one-day event, you really have something to kind of lean into and to find some brightness.
The diamonds are created through a complex process where carbon is extracted from the remains.
We have to take our carbon samples and they have to be crushed to a very uniform particle size.
Then workers replicate how diamonds are made in nature using intense heat and pressure. It takes anywhere between 9 to 12 months for a diamond to be completed. They can be made in a variety of colors and even from the remains of your pets. The diamonds start around $3,000, far less than the cost of a traditional funeral. Prices go up depending on the size, shape, and color.
The world of medicine has come a long way over the last century, and now more doctors armed with the latest technology and birthing science are seeing it is possible to try and save extremely premature babies, where before most professionals thought it wasn't possible for them to survive. Kevin Cork has the latest data, plus a special look at the world's earliest surviving premature infant.
Medical advances are giving doctors higher success rates for saving extremely premature babies. Babies like little Curtis Means from Alabama.
He's determined to do what he want to do, so I'm right behind him.
Michelle Butler gave birth to Curtis and his twin sister when she was only in the 5th month of pregnancy, roughly 7 weeks before doctors say babies could have a chance at surviving outside the womb.
It was pretty much a 0% chance.
While Curtis's sister tragically didn't make it, Curtis pulled through, and the likelihood of other babies like him surviving is actually expanding as improved technology is changing perspectives, giving doctors more confidence these early births could be saved. According to a recent study in the Journal of the American Medical Association, out of roughly 11,000 premature babies, just 30% born at 22 weeks lived long enough to be sent home from the hospital if doctors tried to save them. Now that number rose to 56% for those born at 23 weeks, and then skyrocketed to 71% for those born at 24 weeks.
They show you their heart rate is going to be steady and they're doing good by the monitor. That changes everything.
Surviving is only half the battle, though. Doctors say extremely premature babies are actually prone to neurological issues and can have difficulty breathing on their own and, unfortunately, can also develop problems with their eyesight.
A recent study shows telemedicine might decrease inequality among patients for primary care access. Researchers from the University of Pennsylvania analyzed more than 1 million meetings between 2019 and 2020 and compared the rates in which Black Americans and non-Black Americans used telemedicine. The study found 33% of Black patients attended their consultations virtually in 2020 compared to 25% of non-whites who used telemedicine. Recent research says having more than 2 children might have negative effects on your brain. Scientists from Columbia University and a university in Paris say having more than 2 children can affect your cognitive abilities later in life. Analysts view the data of parents 65 years and old with at least 2 children from 20 countries in Europe. They found having more than 2 kids harmed parents' awareness. It affects fathers and mothers similarly. They say these changes are equal to 6.2 years of aging. We want to leave you with a smile. Seinfeld fans now have a chance to sip on coffee inspired by their favorite characters. The online coffee shop Beanbox released Monday its Seinfeld Coffee Collection, which is inspired by the 90s sitcom. The company says each of the 4 blends of the collection is based on the show's main characters and their eccentric personalities. Elaine's Little Kicks, Kramer's Giddy Up, George's Serenity Now, and Jerry's Diner Blend. The iconic collection is available to pre-order on the website beanbox.com. From our whole team, thanks for joining us. We hope you have a great rest of your day.